Alright, so a great feature of both the Quest and the Strada Velomobiles by Bluevelo is the ability to adjust the recline position of your seat. A great way to demonstrate this, I'm just going to hop in the cockpit here. What I've done is place the seat in a very upright position, just as a starting point, to show you what's possible with the different seating positions. You can see at this level I have about a finger width of clearance between the lip of the cockpit and my shoulder. My head is way up over the front of the Quest, so I have really good visibility. It's a great place to start for inexperienced riders because it's very easy on the neck, great for visibility, for seeing everything that's around you, and just generally a nice comfortable riding style. So what we're going to do to show you the different possibilities is to move the recline position to the extreme opposite, which will be a very reclined and low down position. So over to the workbench, the tools we're going to need today are a 4mm hex wrench, otherwise known as an Allen key, as well as a small socket wrench. I like to use an extender, makes it easier to get into all the little spots we need to get to, as well as an 8mm socket bit. So those are the only two tools that we're going to need to use. So looking into the cockpit of the Quest here again, I'm just going to zoom in on that front left seat mounting bracket. And what we're concerned with here are the hex bolts that are right at the top of that mounting bracket. First thing we want to do is just take our hex wrench and just a couple turns to loosen off the tension of each of these 4mm bolts. And then I'm just going to reach across, and you'll have to trust that I'm doing exactly the same thing on the other side. Just going to loosen these up a little bit so that that bracket's able to slide along the grooves in that mount. And there we go, I've got all four of those hex bolts loosened off. So looking at the back of the seat here, if I just rotate it up out of the way, you can see the main rear seat mounting bracket, which has 1, 2, and 3 bolts that hold it in position. So I'm going to grab my 8mm socket wrench and just loosen off these bolts. And once I've taken the tension off from my socket, I'm just going to use my fingers to remove the rest of the bolts and of course the washers. Just the first. And the second. I left that third one a little tight. Loosen it off a little more from the socket. And there we are. I've removed all 3 of the lock nuts and washers. A good thing to do in this situation is to take a marker and always just make note on the lowest bolt of the starting position here. That way you can always go back to where you started without having to do too much guesswork. So at this point I can just pull this rear mounting bracket right off. You can see all of the different positions that are possible. We are at a really upright position, which is the second from highest there. So for this rider, I'm going to take it down 1, 2, 3, 4 more. just going to mount it on there and replace the 3 lock nuts and washers. Okay, so looking at that front seat mounting bracket again, just going to grab the top of the back of the seat, just kind of slide it around. Looks like we need a little less tension to slide freely. A little tension on the bottom of the seat. And at this point I can feel it sitting nice and flush on the back mounting bracket. So I'm just going to retighten those head bolts there. And then on over to the other side, I'm going to do the same thing. Tighten those into place. At which point we now completed a seat recline adjustment on this Quest. Okay, so to show you the difference between the 2 positions, I'm going to slide back in the cockpit now. So slide down on in. And now in this new seating position, you can see I've can now fit 3 fingers between my shoulders and the lip of the cockpit as opposed to 1. I'm quite low down in comparison. Just have my eyes over the front of the vehicle. I can still see, but visibility is reduced from that more upright position. The advantage of this is I'm now much more aerodynamic with less of my head being up in the wind. This position's reserved for, I would suggest, more experienced riders who have a better feel for the Quest, who are used to the visibility, and who are using the Quest for time trials and really fast riding on country roads that are looking for a very aggressive and aerodynamic position.